Hi everyone, this is Miss Michaela, and in this video I'm going to be recapping what we did in class today, Monday, November 23rd. So first I talked about the History of Western Theater quiz, which if you look is in classwork under History of Western Theater, this quiz here. So this quiz is in Socrative, so what you're going to do is click on this link here, and then it'll ask for a room name, and that's when you will put in Sharon1175, and then it'll ask for your name, and then you can take the quiz. So I know that some of you have already taken it. For a retake, you will just take the same quiz again. So if you already did it once, you'll just do it again, click on the link, go there, put in the room name and your name, and it'll just be the second time you took the quiz. Please, please only take the quiz a second time. Do not take it more than that. Next, we talked about some missing assignments, specifically the concept definition map. So for this assignment, you are to choose one type of theater to explore and fill out the map. There is both a Google Sheets version and a PDF version. Don't do both of them, just pick one. I just wanted to give you an option so that if you like PDF better, you could use PDF, or if you like Google Sheets better, then you can use Google Sheets. So what you're going to do is you'll choose one type of theater and then fill out the concept definition map. So in the middle box here is where you would put your type of theater that you chose. So if you put Restoration Theater, you would put that right here. And then here you would put the definition of that type of theater in your own words. And then these four boxes are about the characteristics. So what was the story like? What were the acting styles like? The sets, and what was the purpose? I do have an example here of a realism concept definition map that we did together in class. So if you're confused about how to do this, look at what we did together in class for realism. There is only 4 of you that have turned this in. So 12 of you have not done this yet. And if you need to retake the History of Western Theater quiz, doing this assignment might help you to improve your grade on that. So because there are so many of you missing some of those assignments, I wanted to talk about our late assignment policy that we have. And I know that we've always told you that if you turn in work late, there will be points taken off, but I wanted to tell you exactly how many points will be taken off and when, so that we all are on the same page. So if your assignment is 3 days late, then 10% of the grade is taken off. So if it is a 10-point assignment, then the highest grade you could get is a 9 out of 10. If your assignment is over a week late, then 30% of the grade will be taken off. So if it's a 10-point assignment, the highest score you could get is a 7 out of 10. If the assignment is over 3 weeks late, then 50% of the grade is taken off. So the highest score you could get is a 5 out of 10 on a 10-point assignment. Okay, so then today, first we reviewed ancient Greek theater, and we talked about how they were performed in amphitheaters outside. The costumes in ancient Greek theater, they wore big masks and used large props, and then they had long costumes that were like robes, and a lot of the times they had gloves that were really extended so that people who were sitting far away could see the gestures that they were doing. We also talked about how the acting style is not realistic and uses pantomime, which is when you're using big gestures to portray what you're doing, and emoting, so they're doing big things with their voices. We looked at this picture, which is the amphitheater, and we talked about how the costumes needed to be big and the acting style needed to be exaggerated, so that if you were sitting way back here, you'd be able to tell what was going on way down there on the stage. We looked at these pictures of costumes again and looked at a script again from an ancient Greek play to see that the language is old and not very modern. So then we went into what were these ancient Greek plays about? Well, they were about mythology. A myth is a story, and mythology is a group of stories or a group of myths that form part of the traditional knowledge of a society. Myths often use imaginative plots and characters to explain how the world began and why nature and people behave the way they do. So, in ancient Greek theater, they used their mythology, which had these imaginative characters, these gods and goddesses in this picture here. And in the stories, they explain how the world began and why nature and people behave the way that they do. So, an example of a myth is here. An old Egyptian myth tells why the Nile River floods every year. So, the people don't understand why it floods, so they make up a story or a myth that explains why it happens. The purpose of mythology is to explain things that people don't understand. So, like natural phenomena, a tornado or fire, or storms or snow or a tsunami, maybe. These things happen and people didn't understand why they did, so they would make up stories about gods and goddesses and how they were creating these weather things to happen. They also explain why humans act the way they do. So, if a human does something bad and the people don't understand why they would do that, they would create a myth that would say, well, this is why people are evil. There are also a lot of stories about how the world was created, and almost every culture on the planet has a different creation story. So, for the second half of class today, we looked at 3 different creation stories in a creation myth activity. So I split the class into 3 groups, and each group watched a video of a different creation myth from a different culture. And I shared this document here. So you'd watch the video and then answer the questions about your creation story that you watched. And tomorrow in class, we are going to be looking at the answers from each of the groups. And we are going to look at this chart to see how the creation myths are similar and how they're different. And we're going to see if there's similarities running through all 3 of the myths. And then I assigned the homework for tomorrow's class. And this is the beginning of Western theater history assignment here. Let me show you where I posted it in classroom. It's in the literary analysis topic called Beginning of Western Theater Assignment. So for this, there is 7 questions, and for these questions, you're going to look up the answers in Google. And then I want you to put the answers in the history section of your Dramatic Lit slideshow notebook. So if you remember, your notebook is here. So you would go to your notebook and go down to the history slides. And you should already have your slideshow timeline here. On the second history slide, you would take these questions and put them and the answers in there. So the way that you would find the answer to this is that you would go to Google, put in the question, search it, what is another word for drama, and then there's similar words here. So you would maybe say play. So then in your notebook, you would say another word for drama is play. And that would be number 1. So then you're going to do that for all of these questions here for homework tomorrow.